Hello, babies. It's Mimzie's brunch time at school today. How y'all doing? Everybody having a good day? I just threw my book in the floor. Molly the ferret said she was going to read with me today, but I don't actually know where she is. The doors are shut. She's safe. She's in here somewhere, though. But be advised, there is a elderly ferret at large in Mimzie's classroom. But we're going to read this book, Late for the Library, which is appalling. Can you imagine me ever being late to the library? Absolutely not. But we're going to read this book. I think I picked this one up at the flea market. Oh, it's a chapter book. Chapter 1, Favorite Books. One day, Mrs. Robinson asked everybody in the class to bring a favorite book. Ooh, that would be a real struggle for me. Toby brought a book about bats. Ooh, I like bats. Felicia brought in a book about a girl who saves the day with her hair bow. Well, that's intriguing. Rich brought in a book about a boy who dreams of doing something really important. And Peter brought in a book about a magic hockey stick. Well, all those books sound very interesting that I might want to read. Each day I'll read one book to the class until I've read every one, said Mrs. Robinson. That's a clever teacher. I like that. Chapter 2, A Long Wait. Peter couldn't wait for Mrs. Robinson to read his book, but Peter had to wait. It was almost 2 weeks before Mrs. Robinson finally read his book. Make sure I don't skip a page. That was a wonderful story, said Mrs. Robinson when she finished. Can you tell us anything about the book? Like what? Asked Peter. Maybe how long you've had it or where you got it. I got it when we were on summer vacation over a year ago, said Peter. I always got books on summer vacation. And where did you get it? Asked Miss Robinson. I got it out of the... Peter stopped. A terrible thought suddenly occurred to him. I mean, I got it as a gift, said Peter. Do we believe Peter? Chapter 3, Long Overdue. We didn't believe him. Peter suddenly had remembered where his book came from. A public library. Peter knew if a library book is returned late, there is a late fee, sometimes up to 25 cents a day. Did you know I had a library book for 17 years once? It was Roald Dahl's Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I had it checked out, and we moved. And when we moved back, it just stayed with my books. And one day I said, you know what? I'm going to return it. So I returned it 17 years late. I wonder what they thought when they pulled that book out. I still think about that at night sometimes. Peter remembered going to the library with his parents, but he couldn't remember if he had checked out any books. It had been so long ago, more than 365 days. Ooh, that's going to be a fine. Later that day, Peter asked Felicia, what does 365 times 25 equal? Felicia was good at math. Come on, turn the page. A lot, said Felicia. Could you be more exact? Asked Peter. An awful lot, said Felicia. Chapter 4, Library Day. The next day, Mrs. Robinson's class visited the school library. That was always my favorite thing, to go to the school library. I have questions, Peter said very softly to Miss Lerner, the school librarian. I can hardly hear you, said Miss Lerner. I thought we were supposed to whisper in the library, said Peter. That is true, said Mrs. Lerner, but whisper just a little bit louder. Well, said Peter, a friend of mine has a problem. He has a library book that he never returned. I can so relate to this. This is cracking me up. Oh, said Miss Lerner, this is a problem. How late is your friend's book? Over a year, said Peter. I bet that librarian was appalled. Y'all, for real, I wonder what those people thought when that overdue book showed up at the mail slot. Oh my, said Mrs. Lerner, at 25 cents a day, that would add up to, well, an awful lot. Exactly, said Peter. What do you think my friend should do? Maybe if he would bring in the book, I could help, said Miss Lerner. I have it right here, said Peter. Oh, look, that's Snow David. We've read that book. And Olivia, I have that, but have we read that one? Sorry, I got sidetracked. I just love a good book. Do you think I could borrow it? Asked Miss Lerner. Sure, said Peter. After all, this is a library. Come on, go to page 22. Chapter 5, A Comic Idea. Back in class, Peter stared out the window. Is anything the matter? Asked Mrs. Robinson. No, said Peter, I'm fine. But Peter wasn't fine. He had to raise an awful lot of money in a hurry. Y'all, he's imagining himself that the po-po going to come pick him up and take him to the pen over a library book. Peter thought he could have a lemonade stand, and thought he could mow lawns, and thought he could be like on Charlie Brown, like Lucy, and give advice. Suddenly, Peter jumped up out of his seat. I've got it, he cried. Got what? Asked Mrs. Robinson. Everybody was looking at Peter. Nothing, said Peter. Little dramatic. These pages are giving me fits. Chapter 6. Mrs. Lerner lends a hand. The next morning on the playground, Felicia called to Peter. Did you see this? She asked. Someone is selling their comic books, and they sound just like yours. They are mine, said Peter. I'm selling them. But why? Asked Felicia. You love your comics. Just then the school bell rang. We know why. That's it. Miss Lerner stopped Peter in the hallway. I called the library, said Miss Lerner, and I have some good news for you, friend. What is it? Asked Peter. The book isn't overdue at all, said Miss Lerner. It has to be, said Peter. My friend has had it since last summer. Yeah, I would think that constitutes being overdue. It's not overdue, said Miss Lerner. The book wasn't borrowed, it was bought at a library book sale. So I can keep it? Asked Peter. That is good news. Of course you can't, said Miss Lerner, but your friend can. Got him. That was a cute book. I really did like that book, Fantastic Mr. Fox, that I kept out for 17 years, but not as much as I love you.